Nothing like a backyard party to remind you how many people secretly hate their spouses. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Nick Forrester, 38, building inspector by day, amateur therapist by night. At least that's what it feels like when you're married to someone who treats every social gathering like a confessional booth. Tonight's gathering features the usual suspects. My wife Allison's inner circle of enablers, a few neighbors who showed up for free wine, and me, playing the role of the understanding husband who pretends not to notice when conversations stop the moment I walk into a room. The fire pit crackles in our backyard, casting dancing shadows across faces that look increasingly blurred by wine and gossip. Allison, 34 and beautiful in that carefully curated Instagram way, holds court near the outdoor bar we installed last spring. She's wearing the black dress I bought her for our anniversary, the one she said made her feel like herself again. I'm starting to understand what she meant by that. Nick! Monica waves me over with the enthusiasm of someone who's about to drop a social bomb. Monica Chen, no, wait, she kept her maiden name after the divorce. Monica Walsh is Allison's best friend and chief enabler. Think of her as the ringleader of a very sophisticated high school clique that never graduated. We were just talking about backup plans. Backup plans? I grab a beer from the cooler, noting how the conversation has that electric tension of barely contained secrets. Jenny Martinez, another member of Allison's inner circle, giggles into her wine glass. You know, like what you'd do if your current situation didn't work out. Like a fire escape, adds Tara Johnson, the third member of their trinity. She's the one who always looks slightly uncomfortable during these conversations, like she knows they're crossing lines but can't quite work up the courage to stop it. Allison shoots them a look that's half warning, half amusement. They're being dramatic. Are we, though? Monica's eyes glitter with mischief. I mean, Eric's looking pretty good these days. All that time at the gym really paid off. Eric Cullen, Allison's high school sweetheart, the one who got away, or more accurately, the one who got kicked out of 3 colleges and couldn't hold a job until his daddy bought him a gym franchise. He's been circling our marriage like a shark for the past year, ever since his own divorce finalized. Eric's just a friend, Allison says, but her cheeks flush in a way that has nothing to do with the wine. A very attentive friend, Jenny adds with a smirk. Remember what he said about Cabo? The women exchange glances loaded with meaning. I take a long pull of my beer and watch this performance with the detached interest of someone observing a nature documentary. Here we see the suburban wife in her natural habitat, surrounded by her pack, testing the boundaries of her mate's tolerance. What about Cabo? I ask, because apparently I'm a glutton for punishment. Oh, just some silly inside joke. Allison waves it off, but Monica's grin suggests otherwise. He said you two should go back sometime. Monica continues, ignoring Allison's warning look. You know, for old time's sake? Ancient history, Allison insists, but she's not meeting my eyes. My phone buzzes with a text from Pete Rodriguez. Pete Sullivan, my buddy who tends bar downtown at Murphy's. He's the only friend I have who doesn't sugarcoat things. How's the torture session going? I'm about to type back when I notice Allison's phone lighting up on the patio table. The preview shows a message from E with a heart emoji. Miss you already. He's so predictable. Predictable. That stings more than it should. I need another beer, I announce, walking toward the house. As I pass the table, muscle memory from my army days kicks in. Quick glance, memorize, move on. The full message reads, Miss you already. He's so predictable. Can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Inside the house, I lean against the kitchen counter and try to process what I just saw. Predictable. The word bounces around my skull like a pinball. I suppose I am predictable. I get up at 6, make coffee, check the weather, kiss my wife goodbye, spend my day inspecting foundations and electrical systems, come home, help with dinner, watch TV, go to bed, rinse and repeat. But predictable also means reliable, trustworthy, present. I grab another beer and head back outside, where the conversation has shifted to weekend plans. The Riverside Hotel has that new spa package, Jenny is saying. Very relaxing. The Riverside Hotel. Expensive. The kind of place you go for special occasions or clandestine meetings. I might check that out, Allison says casually. Too casually. When I get home from work the next day, I find a hotel receipt in Allison's purse. Not intentionally snooping, just looking for gum while she's in the shower. Riverside Hotel, yesterday's date, charged to her credit card. The one I don't have access to. There's also a small key I don't recognize. Not a house key, not a car key. Something else. That evening, I suggest we grab dinner at Murphy's. Pete's working, and I need a friendly face and some perspective. Can't tonight, Allison says, not looking up from her phone. Monica's having a crisis. Girls' night. What kind of crisis? Just drama with her ex. You know how it is. I do know how it is. I also know Monica's been divorced for 2 years and seems to thrive on drama rather than suffer from it. Rain check then, I say. Allison nods absently, her fingers flying over her phone screen. She's smiling at whatever she's typing. I drive to Murphy's alone. You look like someone stole your lunch money, Pete says, sliding a whiskey across the bar. Pete's one of those guys who looks like he could have been a boxer in another life. Stocky build, scarred knuckles, eyes that don't miss much. He's been tending bar for 15 years and has heard every sob story in the book. Just thinking, I say. Dangerous habit. What's eating you? I tell him about the party, the comments, the hotel receipt. Pete listens without judgment, occasionally nodding or refilling my glass. So what are you going to do about it? He asks when I finish. What can I do? I don't have proof of anything. You have instincts. What are they telling you? My instincts are telling me that my wife is having an affair with her ex-boyfriend, and that her friends are not only aware of it but actively encouraging it. My instincts are also telling me that I've been cast as the clueless husband in this particular drama. They're telling me I need more evidence before I make any moves. Pete nods approvingly. Smart man. But don't wait too long. These things have a way of snowballing. Getting evidence turns out to be easier than I expected. When someone's having an affair, they tend to get sloppy, overconfident. Allison starts working late more often, always with plausible explanations. She's suddenly very interested in fitness, joining Eric's gym for convenience. Her phone is constantly buzzing with messages that make her smile in ways I haven't seen in months. The breaking point comes 2 weeks later at another gathering. This time Monica's birthday party at her house. Same crowd, same barely concealed hostility toward me. Same sense that I'm the unwitting star of a show I didn't audition for. I'm helping Monica set up chairs on her deck when she drops the pretense entirely. You know, Nick, you're a good guy, she says, arranging cushions with the focus of someone who's rehearsed this conversation. But sometimes good isn't enough. What do you mean? I mean, Allison deserves to be happy. Really happy. The way she was in high school. She seems happy to me. Monica's laugh has an edge to it. Does she? When's the last time you saw her really excited about something? Really passionate? The question hits harder than it should because I can't immediately answer it. When did Allison stop getting excited about things? When did she stop talking about her dreams, her plans, her hopes for our future? Marriage isn't about constant excitement, I say. It's about partnership, commitment. God, you sound like a self-help book. Monica shakes her head. This is what I'm talking about. You've turned into this safe, boring version of yourself. Where's the guy who swept her off her feet? I'm the same guy. Are you? Because the Nick she fell in love with had ambition, dreams, he was going places. Building inspector isn't glamorous, but it's honest work. It pays well. It's stable. All things that seemed important when we were planning our future together. Some of us grew up, I say, and some of us just gave up. Before I can respond, Allison appears with Eric in tow. He's everything I'm not. 6'2" to my 5'10", gym sculpted where I'm merely fit, designer clothes where I shop at Target. His smile is the kind that sells toothpaste and makes women forget their own names. Nick! Eric extends his hand with the aggressive friendliness of someone marking territory. Great to see you, man. Allison's been telling me about your work. Inspecting buildings, right? That's important. The pause before important speaks volumes. Someone has to make sure things don't fall down, I reply, matching his grip strength. Absolutely. Safety first. His smile never wavers. I was just telling Allison about this property I'm looking at for a second gym location. Maybe you could take a look at it sometime. Professional opinion. I'd be happy to. Great. It's actually not far from the Riverside Hotel. Beautiful area. The mention of the hotel is deliberate. He knows that I know. This is him letting me know that he knows I know. It's a power play wrapped in suburban politeness. Allison looks uncomfortable for the first time all evening. Should we check on the food? Good idea, Eric says, but his eyes stay on me. Nick, we should grab a beer sometime, just the guys. I'd love to hear more about your work. I'm sure you would. After they leave, Monica watches me with something like pity. He's not trying to hurt you, Nick. None of us are. But you can't honestly say you didn't see this coming. See what coming? Allison's not happy. She hasn't been for a while. Eric makes her laugh. He makes her feel young again, desired. And I don't? Monica's silence is answer enough. The rest of the party passes in a blur of forced conversations and meaningful glances. I watch Eric and Allison together, not touching, not obviously flirting, but connected in a way that makes my chest tight. They have inside jokes, shared memories, a shorthand developed over years of knowing each other. I drive home alone again. Allison is staying to help clean up, she says. At Murphy's, Pete takes one look at my face and starts pouring. That bad? I tell him about the conversation with Monica, about Eric's not-so-subtle power play, about feeling like a stranger at my own wife's social events. You know what your problem is, Pete says after I finish. You're playing their game by their rules. You're trying to be reasonable with people who've already decided you're the bad guy. So, what do you suggest? Stop being reasonable. Stop being predictable. Give them something they're not expecting. Like what? Pete grins, and for the first time in weeks, I feel like I might have an ally in this mess. Like taking control of the narrative. The next morning, I wake up to find Allison already gone. There's a note on the kitchen counter. Early meeting. See you tonight. A. No love, no XOXO, just an initial, like I'm her roommate instead of her husband. I call in sick to work and spend the day doing something I've never done before. I hire a private investigator. His name is Frank Morrison, and he looks exactly like you'd expect a PI to look. Rumpled suit, tired eyes, the demeanor of someone who's seen too much of humanity's worst impulses. His office smells like coffee and disappointment. Cheating spouse? He asks before I've even sat down. Suspected cheating spouse, I correct. They all start as suspected. What makes you think she's stepping out? I lay out the evidence, the hotel receipt, the mysterious key, the text messages, the sudden lifestyle changes, Eric's obvious interest. Frank nods along, taking notes. Pretty standard stuff. How long you want me to follow her? How long does it usually take? If she's cheating? A week, maybe 2. People think they're being careful, but they're not. They get comfortable, sloppy, especially when they think their spouse is clueless. And if she's not cheating? Frank's expression suggests this is a theoretical question. Then you'll know for sure, and you can work on your marriage with a clear conscience. I write him a check for a week's work. 3 days later, he calls with results. You want the good news or the bad news? Frank's voice is matter-of-fact, professional. Is there good news? The good news is you're not crazy. Your instincts were right. And the bad news? The bad news is your instincts were right. We meet at a diner across town. Frank slides a manila envelope across the table like he's passing state secrets. Your wife's been meeting Eric Cullen at the Riverside Hotel twice a week for the past month, always the same room. She has a key. They also meet at his gym after hours, and they've been to 3 different restaurants in the next county over, places where they're unlikely to run into anyone they know. The photographs are damning. Allison and Eric kissing in the hotel parking lot, holding hands at a restaurant, her head on his shoulder as they walk to his car. There's more, Frank continues. I did some digging on this Eric character. His gym's in financial trouble. Behind on rent, equipment loans, the works. He's been looking for an investor. What does that have to do with anything? Maybe nothing, maybe everything. Your wife have access to money? Allison handles our finances. She's always been better with numbers, more organized. I direct deposit my paycheck into our joint account and trust her to manage the rest. She manages our accounts. Frank nods, like this confirms something. Might want to check on that. Sometimes these affairs are about more than just sex. That evening, I log into our bank accounts for the first time in months. What I find makes my stomach drop. $20,000 transferred from our savings to an account I don't recognize. Another $15,000 in cash withdrawals over the past 2 months. Our retirement fund has been touched. Not emptied, but significantly reduced. I'm not just losing my wife. I'm being robbed. The rage comes in waves. First, the hot flash of betrayal. The woman I've loved for 8 years has been systematically deceiving me, stealing from me, planning her exit strategy while I played the devoted husband. Then comes the cold calculation, the military training kicking in. When you're under attack, you assess the situation, identify your resources, and plan your response. My resources are limited, but not insignificant. I have Frank's evidence. I have access to our financial records. I have a job that's given me contacts throughout the city, contractors, inspectors, city officials, people who see and hear things. Most importantly, I have something Allison and Eric don't expect. I'm not the passive, predictable man they think I am. The first step is protecting myself legally. I make copies of everything, bank records, photographs, receipts. I consult with a divorce attorney, a sharp woman named Rebecca Torres, who looks like she could eat opposing counsel for breakfast. You've got a strong case, she tells me after reviewing the evidence. Adultery, financial misconduct, breach of fiduciary duty. If you have a prenup with an infidelity clause, this becomes very straightforward. We do have a prenup. Allison insisted on it, actually, back when she was making more money than me. The irony is delicious. What are my options? You could file immediately, seek an injunction to freeze the accounts, demand return of the transferred funds, make this as public and messy as possible. Or you could be strategic about it. Give them enough rope to hang themselves. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people destroy themselves while you document everything. I choose strategy over emotion. The second step is gathering intelligence. This is where my job becomes an asset. Building inspectors talk to everyone. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, city workers. We're invisible background figures who hear all the gossip. Within a week, I know more about Eric's financial situation than his accountant does. His gym is 3 months behind on rent. He owes money to equipment suppliers, utility companies, and the city for various permits and fees. His divorce settlement left him cash poor, and his lifestyle exceeds his income by a significant margin. He's desperate for money, which explains his sudden romantic interest in my wife. But there's more. Eric's been telling people that he's about to come into some money, a business opportunity, with a partner who believes in his vision. He's been shopping for expensive cars, looking at bigger apartments, acting like a man whose financial problems are about to disappear. My wife isn't just his lover. She's his mark. The third step is the most satisfying, turning their own tactics against them. I start small. Eric's gym has several code violations, nothing dangerous but enough to require expensive fixes. As a city building inspector, it's my civic duty to ensure all commercial properties meet current safety standards. I schedule a surprise inspection. Mr. Cullen? I knock on his office door, clipboard in hand, official city ID prominently displayed. Building inspector, I need to conduct a routine safety inspection. Eric's face goes through several expressions: surprise, recognition, suspicion, and finally forced politeness. Nick, I didn't know you worked this district. I cover wherever I'm needed. This won't take long. The inspection takes 3 hours. I'm thorough, professional, and absolutely merciless. Every minor violation gets documented. The emergency exit lighting that's been burned out for months. The fire extinguisher that's past its inspection date. The electrical panel that's not properly labeled. The bathroom that doesn't meet ADA compliance standards. You've got 30 days to address these issues, I tell Eric, handing him a citation that will cost him several $1,000s to resolve. Failure to comply will result in fines and possible closure. Eric's jaw tightens. This seems pretty petty, don't you think? I don't think safety is petty, Mr. Cullen. Do you? You know what I mean. I'm not sure I do. Are you suggesting I should ignore code violations because we know each other socially? The question hangs in the air between us. Eric knows he can't answer it without admitting he expects special treatment or accusing me of harassment. Of course not, he says finally. Good. 30 days. I leave him standing in his office, staring at a citation that just became his biggest problem. But Eric's not my primary target. He's just a symptom. The real issue is my wife and her circle of enablers who think they're smarter than me. That evening, Allison comes home late again, full of apologies and explanations about work deadlines and client emergencies. How was your day? She asks, kissing my cheek with the casual affection of someone going through the motions. Routine. Did some inspections? Caught up on paperwork? You? Crazy busy. Monica's planning this big event for her company, and she needed help with the social media strategy. Monica's company is a small marketing firm that barely keeps the lights on. The idea that she's planning a big event requiring social media strategy is laughable. Sounds important, I say. It is. Could be a really good opportunity for me, too. Monica might recommend me for some freelance work. Another lie. I've seen our bank records. Allison hasn't done freelance work in over a year. That's great, honey. I'm proud of you. She smiles, and for a moment, I see the woman I fell in love with. Then I remember the photographs in Frank's envelope, and the moment passes. I'm going to grab a shower, she says. Long day. While she's upstairs, I check her phone. She's gotten sloppy about hiding it, leaving it on the counter while she showers. The messages with Eric are more explicit now, more confident. They're making plans for the weekend, a romantic getaway to celebrate their new beginning. They're also discussing me with casual cruelty that takes my breath away. Eric. How much longer do we have to keep this up? Allison. Not much longer. I just need to transfer a few more things and then we can move forward. Eric. He still doesn't suspect anything? Allison. Please. He's completely clueless. I could probably rob him blind and he'd thank me for it. Eric. What if he finds out? Allison. What's he going to do? He's too nice to cause trouble. Too predictable. There's that word again. Predictable. I take screenshots of everything and send them to myself, then delete the evidence of my snooping. By the time Allison comes downstairs in her robe, I'm watching TV like nothing happened. What are you watching? She asks, curling up next to me on the couch. Just the news. Same old stuff. She nods and pulls out her phone, probably to continue her conversation with Eric. I watch her type, knowing exactly who she's talking to, what lies she's telling. "I love you," I say suddenly. She looks up, surprised. "I love you too." The words come so easily, so automatically, that I almost believe she means them. But love doesn't steal from you. Love doesn't plan your destruction while lying in your arms. "Do you ever think about the future?" I ask. "What you want our life to look like in 5 years?" Allison's fingers pause over her phone screen. "Of course. Why?" "Just curious. Sometimes I feel like we're so caught up in day-to-day stuff that we forget to dream together." "We should definitely talk about that," she says, but she's already looking back at her phone. "Maybe this weekend?" "This weekend, when she'll be at a romantic getaway with Eric." "Sure," I say. "This weekend." The weekend arrives with unseasonable warmth and clear skies, perfect weather for outdoor gatherings and public humiliations. Allison leaves Saturday morning with a story about a work retreat, complete with fake itinerary and apologetic kisses goodbye. I wave from the doorway like the devoted husband, then immediately call Frank. "They're checked into the Riverside Hotel, room 247, he reports. "Want me to get pictures?" "I have enough pictures. Today's about something else." My phone buzzes with a text from Monica. "Pool party at my place 2 p.m. You should come. Allison said you might be free." Of course she did. Nothing says, "I'm not having an affair," like inviting your husband to socialize with your co-conspirators while you're screwing your ex-boyfriend. I spend the morning preparing. Not the way most people prepare for parties. I'm getting ready for war. Monica's backyard is crowded with the usual suspects, plus a few new faces I don't recognize. Jenny and Tara are holding court by the pool, drinks already in hand despite it being barely past 2. Several neighbors have shown up, drawn by the promise of free alcohol and gossip. Pete agreed to come as backup, though he looks about as comfortable as a vegetarian at a barbecue. "Nick!" Monica greets me with the kind of enthusiasm usually reserved for lottery winners. "I'm so glad you could make it. Where's Allison?" "Work retreat?" I say, accepting a beer from the cooler. "She was disappointed to miss this." "Oh, that's too bad. She works so hard." Jenny appears at Monica's elbow like a materialized conscience. "It's great that she's so dedicated to her career. Some women lose themselves in marriage, you know?" The comment is loaded with implication. I'm supposed to feel guilty, defensive, inadequate. Instead, I smile. Allison's always been ambitious. It's one of the things I love about her. "That's so sweet." Tara joins the circle, completing their trinity. "You're such a supportive husband." "I try to be." "Not all men are secure enough to let their wives have independence," Monica adds. "Some get jealous, controlling. They're building a narrative, laying groundwork for something. I can feel Pete watching from across the yard, ready to move if needed." "Jealousy's a waste of energy," I say. "If you don't trust your partner, what's the point of being together?" The women exchange glances. Monica's smile falters slightly. "Exactly," Jenny says, a little too loudly. "Trust is everything." Speaking of trust, I pull out my phone. I wanted to share something with everyone. The conversation around us gradually quiets as people sense drama brewing. This is what they came for, really. The possibility of witnessing someone else's breakdown, someone else's humiliation. "Allison and I have been together for 8 years, I continue, my voice carrying across the yard. "And in all that time, I've learned something important about trust." Monica looks nervous now. "Nick, maybe we should—" "Trust isn't just about fidelity," I interrupt. "It's about honesty, transparency, being the person your partner thinks you are." I open the photo app on my phone, scroll to the screenshots I took from Allison's messages. For instance, if your wife tells you she's at a work retreat, you should be able to trust that's where she is. I hold up the phone, showing Eric's latest message. "Can't wait to have you all to myself this weekend." The silence is immediate and complete. Monica's face goes white. Jenny's drink slips from her hand, splashing into the pool. But maybe I'm being paranoid, I continue conversationally. Maybe work retreat is just another way of saying romantic getaway with your ex-boyfriend. Nick, Monica starts. Or maybe when your wife transfers $20,000 from your savings account, she's just making a really generous donation to her lover's failing business. Gasps from the crowd. Someone whispers, "Holy shit." Pete moves closer, positioning himself between me and the women who are looking increasingly cornered. "You went through her phone?" Tara asks, like that's the real crime here. "I went through our bank records," I correct. "You know, the accounts I work 40 hours a week to fill while my wife and her friends plan my humiliation." I scroll to another screenshot, this one showing Allison's message about me being completely clueless. "The thing about being underestimated," I say, reading directly from the phone, "is that people get careless. They say things like, 'He's too nice to cause trouble,' 'too predictable.'" Monica finds her voice. "This is between you and Allison. You don't need to involve everyone else." Don't I? Because it seems like everyone else was already involved. How long have you known about the affair, Monica? I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because I have about 50 text messages that suggest otherwise. Want me to read them? The crowd presses closer. This is better than reality TV, real drama, real consequences, real people destroying each other in real time. "You're being cruel," Jenny says, but her voice shakes. "Am I? Because I thought I was being honest, transparent. All those things you said were important in a marriage." My phone rings. Perfect timing. "Oh, look, it's Frank Morrison, the private investigator I hired." I answer on speaker. "Hi, Frank. You're on speaker at a party. What's the update?" Frank's voice booms across the suddenly silent yard. "Just wanted to confirm. Your wife and Eric Cullen are still at the Riverside Hotel. Should I continue surveillance?" "No need, Frank. I think I have everything I need." I hang up and look around at the assembled crowd. So, to answer your earlier question, Monica, yes, I know exactly where my wife is and what she's doing. The question is, what are you all going to do now that you know I know? The silence stretches uncomfortably. Then Pete starts clapping, slow, deliberate applause that builds as others join in. Not everyone, but enough to make it clear which way the wind is blowing. "Damn, Nick," someone calls out. "Remind me never to cheat on you." Laughter ripples through the crowd. The social dynamic has shifted completely. I'm no longer the clueless husband. I'm the wronged party who fought back intelligently. Monica tries to regain control. "This is inappropriate. You're embarrassing yourself." Am I? Because I feel pretty good right now, honest, transparent. All those things you value so highly. "What do you want?" she asks desperately. "What do I want?" I pretend to consider the question. I want my wife to come home and explain why she thought I was too stupid to notice her affair. I want Eric to explain why he thought my marriage was his personal ATM. And I want all of you to explain why you thought it was okay to help them. "We were just trying to support our friend," Tara says weakly. "By encouraging her to cheat and steal, that's an interesting definition of support." Jenny steps forward, anger replacing shock. "You don't understand the situation. Allison's been unhappy for years. You never pay attention to her, never make her feel special. Eric makes her feel alive again. And the $20,000? Did that make her feel alive too?" Jenny falters. "That's between you and her." "No, it's between me and the police. Theft is theft, regardless of motivation." The crowd murmurs. This just got serious. Monica makes one last attempt at damage control. "You're not going to press charges against your own wife." "Watch me." My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. This is Eric. "We need to talk." I show the screen to the crowd. "Looks like the lovebirds want to chat. Should I take this call?" "Yes!" someone shouts. Others join in, turning this into interactive entertainment. I answer on speaker. Eric, how's the work retreat going? Cut the shit, Nick. What do you want? What do I want? That's the second time someone's asked me that today. I want my money back. I want a divorce. And I want both of you to understand that actions have consequences. You're making a mistake. This doesn't have to get ugly. It got ugly the moment you decided to fuck my wife and steal my money. I'm just making it public. Allison's voice in the background. Let me talk to him. Nick? Her voice is small, scared. Can we please discuss this privately? Why? So you can lie to me some more? Tell me how this is all a misunderstanding? I never meant for it to happen this way. Which part? The cheating or the stealing? Both. Neither. I'm confused, okay? I made mistakes. You made choices. Now you get to live with the consequences. What consequences? I look around at the crowd of people hanging on every word, phones out, recording everything for posterity. You'll find out soon enough. I hang up and pocket my phone. The party has completely transformed. What started as a social gathering has become a public tribunal, with me as both prosecutor and judge. So, I address the crowd, who wants to hear about the prenup? The prenup revelation sends shockwaves through the remaining party guests. Monica's carefully curated social gathering has devolved into something between a public hearing and a reality show finale. People are taking sides, whispering in corners, live tweeting the drama. This is the kind of suburban spectacle that will be discussed for years. You have a prenup? Jenny asks, like I've just announced I'm secretly royalty. Allison insisted on it, I explained to the captivated audience. Back when she was making more money than me, she wanted to protect her assets. Ironically, the infidelity clause means she gets nothing if she cheats. That's medieval, Tara protests. That's legal, Pete corrects from his position near the pool. And smart. Monica makes one final attempt at damage control. This is all very entertaining, Nick, but maybe you should handle your personal business privately. Like you handled it privately when you encouraged my wife's affair? Like you handled it privately when you helped her plan her exit strategy? We didn't, please. You think I haven't been paying attention for the past 6 months? The whispered conversations that stop when I enter a room? The girls' nights that coincidentally happen whenever Eric's in town? The way you all look at me like I'm some pathetic creature who doesn't deserve basic respect? The accusation hangs in the air. Several people nod. They've witnessed this behavior, been uncomfortable with it, but stayed silent to avoid drama. You made me the villain in a story I didn't even know I was part of, I continue. Well, congratulations. You got your villain. My phone rings again. This time it's Rebecca Torres, my attorney. Perfect timing, I tell the crowd, then answer. Rebecca, you're on speaker. What's the status? Divorce papers are filed. I've requested an emergency hearing to freeze all joint accounts and recover the transferred funds. We should have a court date within the week. Excellent. What about the criminal complaint? Filed with the district attorney's office. They're reviewing the evidence of financial fraud. I hang up and smile at the stunned faces around me. Anyone else have questions about how I'm handling my personal business? The crowd begins to disperse. Some people uncomfortable with the intensity, others heading home to call friends and spread the news. This story will be all over town by evening. Monica, Jenny, and Tara huddle together like generals planning a retreat. They've lost control of the narrative completely, and they know it. You've made your point, Monica says. What happens now? Now I go home and wait for my wife to come back and explain herself. You three get to explain to your husbands why you've been accessories to adultery and theft, and Eric gets to explain to his creditors why his big investment just evaporated. You're destroying lives, Jenny accuses. I'm revealing truths. There's a difference. Pete appears at my elbow. Time to go? Time to go. We leave Monica's backyard like conquering heroes. accompanied by the satisfied murmurs of people who've just witnessed justice served in real time. "That was brutal," Pete says as we reach our cars. "That was necessary." "What's next?" "Next, I go home and wait for the fireworks." The fireworks begin an hour later. Allison's car screeches into our driveway with the urgency of someone whose world is collapsing. She bursts through the front door like she's escaping a fire, Eric close behind her. I'm sitting in my recliner, beer in hand, watching the news. The picture of domestic tranquility. "What the hell did you do?" Allison demands. "I had a conversation with some friends. How was your work retreat?" Eric steps forward, trying to project menace despite looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "You think you're smart? You just made this 10 times worse for yourself." "Did I? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm not the one facing fraud charges." Allison's face crumples. "Fraud charges? Nick, please, we can work this out." "Can we? Because according to your text messages, I'm too predictable and stupid to be worth your time." "I didn't mean that. I was angry, confused. You were stealing from me while fucking your ex-boyfriend. There's nothing confusing about that." Eric moves closer, hands clenched. "Watch how you talk to her." "Or what? You'll beat me up? In my own house? While you're already facing criminal charges?" The question stops him cold. He's not stupid enough to assault someone while under investigation for financial crimes. "This is insane," Allison says, collapsing onto the couch. "We can fix this. Go to counseling. Work things out." "With what money? The $20,000 you gave to your boyfriend? That was a loan. Do you have paperwork? A promissory note? Interest rates and repayment terms?" Her silence is answer enough. "Here's what's going to happen," I continue calmly. "You're going to pack your things and leave. Eric's going to return every penny he took from our accounts. And both of you are going to pray that the district attorney decides not to prosecute." "And if we don't?" Eric asks. "Then you'll find out what predictable really looks like. I'll pursue every legal remedy available. I'll make sure everyone in town knows exactly what you did. I'll turn your life into a cautionary tale about the consequences of underestimating people." Allison starts crying. Not the pretty tears of movie heroines, but the ugly, desperate sobs of someone facing real consequences for the first time in her adult life. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I'm so sorry." "I'm sure you are. Sorry you got caught. That's not fair." "Fair? You want to talk about fair?" "Fair would have been filing for divorce before you started your affair. Fair would have been honest conversations about our problems instead of secret planning sessions with your friends. Fair would have been not stealing from the man who supported you for 8 years. Eric shifts uncomfortably. "Look, maybe we can make some kind of deal. The only deal you're getting is the one my attorney offers. Take it or face the consequences." My phone buzzes with a text from Frank. "Subjects have left hotel. En route to your location. Heads up." "Already here," I text back. "You hired a private investigator?" Allison asks, reading over my shoulder. "I hired several people. Investigators, attorneys, accountants. Turns out when you're methodical and thorough, you can accomplish quite a bit." "This isn't you," she says desperately. "You're not vindictive. You're not cruel. You're right. I'm predictable. And predictable people follow logical steps, gather evidence, consult professionals, pursue legal remedies. Very boring stuff." Eric's phone rings. He answers, listens, then hangs up with a grim expression. "My attorney says I should stop talking to you." "Smart attorney. You should probably listen to him." "This isn't over," Eric says, but his heart isn't in the threat. "Yes, it is. You just don't realize it yet." They leave together, Allison casting desperate looks back at the house we've shared for 5 years. I watch from the window as they drive away, probably heading back to Eric's apartment to plan their next move. There won't be a next move. I've already anticipated every possible response, prepared for every contingency. That's what predictable people do. We plan ahead. My phone rings. "Pete, how'd it go?" "About like you'd expect. Lots of crying, some threats, general denial of reality." "You okay?" I'm better than okay. I'm free. And I am. For the first time in months, I feel like myself again. Not the diminished version Allison and her friends wanted me to be, but the man I actually am, intelligent, capable, and absolutely unwilling to be anyone's victim. The divorce proceeds quickly. Allison contests nothing, probably on advice of counsel. Eric returns most of the money, claiming the rest was spent on shared expenses. My attorney recovers what she can and writes off the rest as the cost of education. The criminal charges are dropped in exchange for full restitution and community service. The district attorney explains that prosecuting financial crimes between spouses is complicated, and they prefer to focus their resources on clearer cases. I'm disappointed, but not surprised. The legal system isn't designed for perfect justice, just adequate resolution. The social consequences are more satisfying. Monica, Jenny, and Tara find themselves persona non grata in several social circles, their reputations damaged by association with the scandal. Eric's gym eventually closes, unable to recover from the financial setbacks and negative publicity. He moves to another state, presumably to start over somewhere his name isn't synonymous with adultery and theft. Allison disappears from social media entirely, which for someone who lived for online validation is probably the cruelest punishment of all. 6 months later, I'm sitting at Murphy's, sharing a drink with Pete and watching the local news. There's a story about a city councilman caught embezzling funds, another cautionary tale about the consequences of underestimating the intelligence of the people around you. Any regrets? Pete asks. About what? Going nuclear. You could have handled it quietly, privately. I consider the question while watching the councilman's perp walk on TV. They made it public the moment they decided to humiliate me in front of our friends. I just chose the terms of engagement. Fair enough. What's next? Next, I focus on my own life. Maybe travel, maybe date, maybe just enjoy being single for a while. Sounds lonely. Sounds peaceful. And it is. My house is quiet, my bank account is secure, and my future is entirely my own. I wake up each morning knowing exactly who I am and what I'm worth, unburdened by the opinions of people who never deserved my trust in the first place. Predictable? Maybe. But predictable also means reliable, honest, and consistent. In a world full of people who change their values based on convenience, there's something to be said for being exactly who you appear to be. I raise my glass to Pete, to myself, to the simple satisfaction of being underestimated and proving everyone wrong. Here's to being predictable, I say. Here's to being right, Pete corrects. We drink, and for the first time in years, everything in my world makes perfect sense.